Well, Brianna, what are we doing today?
We are making a hand-cranked flashlight.
A hand-cranked flashlight. Let's have a look. Cool. You ready to get started?
Uh-huh.
All right. So can you tell us a little bit about how this flashlight's going to work, Brianna?
So we put the crank on the motor.
Show us the motor. Okay. And then you put the crank on the motor and you turn the crank, and what happens?
It makes electricity.
Makes electricity, right?
So.
And then the electricity goes through what?
The
diode.
The diode.
Right, and it gets stored on the capacitor, right? And then once that energy gets stored on the capacitor, all we have to do is flip that switch to turn on the LEDs, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the basic principles of what we're doing here.
Yep. So
how are things coming along, Brianna?
They're going well.
Okay, so where are we at right now?
We're at where we just put the LED into this.
Yeah, so we installed the motor, and then we hooked it up to an LED, and we're going to try to do a smoke test. We're going to turn the crank and see if the LED lights. Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead. Yep, there it goes. All right, so we're creating electricity. So we just installed a diode in the circuit. Brianna, what does the diode do?
It takes an alternating current into a direct current.
Right, so it takes the alternating current coming out of the motor and converts it into a direct current like you would get out of a battery. Mm-hmm. We're getting ready to install the capacitor into the circuit. What's a capacitor do, Brianna?
A capacitor is a thing that stores energy.
There you go. So we just installed the capacitor in the circuit, and now Brianna's going to turn the crank and see what happens. Go ahead, Brianna. Okay, so the light is different now. Remember before, when we turned the crank, the light just flickered, and when we stopped turning the crank, the light turned off. Okay, go ahead and stop turning the crank. What happens this time?
It stays.
The light stays on. So basically the energy is being stored in the capacitor, and then the LED is drawing that energy off of the capacitor so that even when you stop turning the crank, the light stays on. Mm-hmm. So we just added a switch to the circuit, and Brianna's going to turn the crank, and we're going to see what happens. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Brianna. Okay, nothing happened, so stop cranking, and then flip the switch. And there goes the light. So now we have the capacitor storing the energy, and by using that switch, we can determine when to turn the energy on to the LED or to leave it off. Mm-hmm. So how's it coming along, Brianna?
Going well.
Let's have a look. So we got the motor in, we got the capacitor installed, we got a couple LEDs hooked up, the switch, and we're just ready to kind of start completing the final assembly. Okay, so we're all done. Brianna, go ahead and flip the switch and turn it on. Okay, not much juice in there, right? Mm-hmm. So go ahead and turn it off, and then turn the crank really fast. Now turn on the switch. Wow, look at that. Let there be light. So that capacitor is storing that energy and delivering it to the LEDs.
And it'll stay on for a while.
For a while. So was that a fun project?
Yeah.
All right, cool.